Me in the chat, we taking on the fight. Windows computer issues, we gonna make it right. Got that brilliant tech advice, 6-day a week. Yeah, we gonna help solve it all. No need to ignite.
Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. It's 9 a.m. Good morning, everybody. Oh, one of the Dougs did that. And let's see. Before I forget, again, I'm going to show you I think it was on Saturday that we delved into SpeakerBot a little bit and issues that were happening there. Hello, John. Thank you for being my first to test the SpeakerBot. Let's see. Wrong button. This button. We had some voices on Saturday that weren't working, and they were all in the ignored section. When I originally put those voices in the ignored section, I figured that it would not use those voices, not try to use those voices, but apparently it was. So now, just to document this, I have removed everything from the ignored section, and I want to see if we get any SpeakerBot things that fail to work. And it's been this way for a couple of days, and as far as I know, there hasn't been any failures. I have some things lined up today from chat yesterday. Oh, John?
Hear that.
Did not hear that. Okay, I just turned on the SpeakerBot, the desktop audio, so now SpeakerBot should be heard. You did hear...
Rick Lake said, hello, Doug?
You did hear the intro there, though, I'm pretty sure. Yes, I know you did, because I got a double whammy of that. Thank you, Brian, because I wanted to go away. Let's go. I'll say hello in chat. John Williams, Phil Collins has a great voice and has been a great drummer. What happened to Lady Gaga? Well, just for that, John, I will do a Lady Gaga trailer tomorrow. Hello, Darren. Hello, Dennis. Thank you for the advertisement. Alice, hello. Carl J. Rand, Israel, Rick Lakes. Let's see. People saying hellos to each other, asking each other questions. Selden Ball, hello. And what did that? Oh, and that did a weird skip because the repeating SpeakerBot. So I just turned that off. Darren Gilholm, hello. Richard Rogers. Okay, Zavi Minor, hello. With kind of a spaced out hello. Yeah. And all caps.
John Williams said the Edge of Glory, okay.
Edge of Glory, does that one work for me though? Because there's one of the Lady Gaga trailers that won't play, one or two of them. We'll come back to those comments in a moment and go, let's see, if I come up here and filter for Gaga. He said Edge of Glory. This one won't play, so perhaps Edge of Glory will play, and we'll try that one for tomorrow. Then come back to comments. We'll get to that in a moment. All right, let's do that moment now. Trinidad and Tobago's news 23 hours ago says, great content regarding how to upgrade Windows 10 Home to Windows 10 Pro. Trinidad and Tobago's, I want to let you know that we're here 6 days a week and to answer computer issue questions. So I hope to see you around. And let's see, I checked out his channel a little bit. I will always approve comments from this user. And Trinidad and Tobago's is a location for those who don't know. Trinidad and Tobago. And zoom out on a little bit and you'll see it's on the northern part of South America. Trinidad and Tobago's news, and that appears to be what his channel is about. Let's go ahead and put in a link to that into chat so people can go check that out if they'd like to. Obviously, he would like exposure
Ken
for his
Stout
channel.
Live said, "Is that like the Philippines and Vietnam?"
No, Ken, it is not like the Philippines and Vietnam because, let's see, where did it go? Where did it go? Over here. They are actually in the same location, unlike Philippines and Vietnam. So there's your geography lesson. Lesson. Gotta fix my dentures, I guess. Lesson. All right, come back to channel comments. So I will give Trinidad and Tobago a link or a reply later. Tony Wallow says everything was good, no problem regarding show 425. Was that yesterday? I don't know. I only work here. No, that was a while ago. So I have no idea what was going on then that he was commenting on that, but thank you for adding a comment. always welcomed and appreciate that. Then I'll go over here to my chat email and start responding to things that I pulled out of chat from yesterday that I didn't catch in its fullness on yesterday. Alice asks, that's when I said that my ALEXA can turn off my computer, that I use it to turn off the power of my computer. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that today. Lawn Dog on that same topic. So that's why you bought the power outlet that can be controlled by LEXA. Interesting, you hibernated computer, then kill the power. Yeah, I hibernate the computer so I don't have to close all my programs and such, and then turn the power off. Now, the reason why I do that is because I have BIOS set on both of these computers so that when power resumes, the computer turns on. If BIOS didn't have that capability, then there would be not really any point to it, because once you hibernate, the computer is not taking any more power. I mean, there's a little tiny amount of power that still goes to the motherboard, but by turning off those,
said, "Hello, Alexa."
by turning off those switches, what that enables me to do is when I'm driving home or when I'm out in the kitchen, I know I want to go work on the computers, I can give a command out there or even from my cell phone away from here and tell her to turn the computers on, and I can address them as both computers or Big Beast build or Baby Beast. It knows those three distinct designations. And I've even done that from the cabin up at Huntington Lake when I wanted to connect remotely to my computer here, but I had hibernated and turned the power off. So when I'm up at the cabin, I can turn the computers on remotely. Yeah, Wintermute, too lazy to press the power button when I'm not in the room. And it takes a surprisingly long time for Big Beast build to start up from a power off state. Baby Beast starts much quicker. And it's obvious that it's due to the high-end motherboard because there's an LED readout on a chip, not the CPU, but on some other component in there, that it gives some codes and stuff about the things that it's doing and the things that it's checking. Lawn Dog, so I'm assuming when the power is reapplied, everything goes just fine. You have to touch the keyboard to get it to wake up from hibernation. No, it'll wake up from hibernation by turning the power on, but I do have to hit the keyboard to get a login prompt if I miss the login prompt, because on the lock screen, it only stays there for a little while. I have to hit a key to get the password prompt. If I'm not present, then it goes to sleep while it's on that lock screen. Or is the fact that you apply power to make it resume from hibernation? Yeah, that's it. So then let's show you that I have a camera, what I call my keyboard camera, mounted right there, and it's pointed towards the smart switch. And before that one, I have several of these individual smart switches that she, who shall not be named, can be. Harry Potter fans just got triggered. So that she can turn devices on with that. But this one showing the keyboard cam. So there's that smart switch. It's mounted under that black power bar. That's one of those 4-foot long power bars. You can see the power. Let's see, I can't point to that with a mouse. The power cable for that white smart switch is going off the right side of it. If you follow it around, you can see it goes up off the top edge of the screen. There's another one of those 4-foot long black power bars mounted up above the one that you see, and that's where that smart switch is plugged into. There's 3 plugs occupied on that smart switch. You can see LED lights showing that they're on. The black one on the right side is Big Beast. The middle one is a Baby Beast. And then that white power plug on the left is the graphics fan. So as a demonstration, I'm about to give the ALEXA command. I'm going to speak it out loud, but I will mute the physical button on my microphone so that it doesn't trigger your device. Then I'll unmute it. Alexa, there it's turned off the graphics fan, but I realized that mute button didn't work right. I'm going to turn it back on. Turn graphics fan on.
Okay.
Yeah, so that turns it back on. So that's how that goes. Alice, when we were talking about surge protectors, at first she said I didn't have any protector, never heard of this before. Then later she says, oh wait, I do know what that is. So we had that conversation before. I just want to let you know that I did catch your correction there, so you are aware of surge protectors. And also later she said that she did not have one. Well, here she said she did not have one, and she had some equipment that got damaged through a power surge of some sort. And Gary Weisenberger telling us about his security cameras are power over Ethernet. They are not Wi-Fi. The neighbor 5 houses down was broken into, and even the cell service to the security company went Wi-Fi. Cams got no pictures. And Gary got pictures of the van that was used, and he sent a link about that issue. I don't think I still have it open. Yeah, so I don't. But anyway, I did look over that article a bit. And definitely advantage to have Ethernet security cameras. Mine are not. And yeah, that's just the way it is. Londog, when was the last time you updated your BIOS on your Asus motherboard? On the Big Beast, I believe it has an Asus motherboard. Yes, it does. Let's see, I'm going to bring up that over there. And then also I've got, here's the parts list for Big Beast on the top half, Baby Beast on the bottom half. And that's an Asus motherboard. Last time I updated it was last time I was having trouble with Big Beast, which was, back around the time that I did a wipe and reload and started from scratch, somewhere around there I think I did it. I am not a big fan of routinely updating BIOS. If it's not broke, don't fix it is my go-to. However, I notice on the major name brand computers, when we do Windows updates, sometimes they will do a BIOS update as part of the required, recommended, and sometimes they're available as optional. What's happening on a BIOS update? Sometimes it changes the way the computer operates. Many times it's so that giving the BIOS information so it'll recognize new equipment that's on the market now. Sometimes it is actually to fix something that is broken on some percentage of computers around the world. My go-to for this is I don't put any effort into manually updating a BIOS unless I have a problem that I think would be rectified by that. So that's just my answer. I know some people don't go with that, particularly people who build a lot of custom computers. I think they're more routine about updating BIOS. Long Dog says, I'm kind of far behind, unfortunately, the last 3 updates, and curious whether I should jump to the latest and greatest and skip the ones in between, kind of thing. My response to it, obviously, I just said would be, are you having trouble? And I noticed, I think, Long Dog, I think I saw you on Ken's show say that you've asked the question, or you've tried to get the question out about graphics adapters versus internal graphics, and asking the question, should you get an external, or what would it do for you? Hang on a moment. My response to that is, if you're not having pain, if there's not something about your computer that's not working well, then you don't even need to consider it, because it's working well. Internal onboard graphics on the CPU is completely fine for most people. If you need an add-in graphics board, then you're probably feeling something inadequate about your computer. You're not getting enough frame rate on games. You can't turn up the resolution high enough. Doesn't support the resolution of your monitor.
Sorry, Brian, I cannot do that.
You need additional monitors that your onboard graphics won't support. So you would have a reason to want it. If you have to ask the question, would a dedicated graphics board benefit me? I'd say right there, well, no. If you have to ask the question, then no, you don't need it. If you're having a problem that a graphics card would solve, you're probably going to come with that question. How can I fix my computer so that my games play better, or something like that? So that is my level 1 response to that question. Just the trauma of knowing what happens on like AMD motherboards in the past, and occasionally some other motherboards when you jump updates. Okay, skip from one to the next. Well, there should be documentation when you're going to download the update where it has a prerequisite. And my understanding, the way the updates are these days, is if there's an update available that requires that you're at a certain version before you install that update, then it will be programmed into the update to prevent you from damaging the computer. But I'm not a custom builder, so there may be other responses to that. Let me jump over to chat and see what's going on, because I have heard some speaker bots. Now see here, this chat's not up to date, so I got to scroll up a little bit to get that arrow and then figure out where I was. Ugh. Yeah, it's still highlighted where I was. Scanning. Let's see. She who shall not be named is incorporated in my Amazon Fire Stick. Really put new life into my TV from 2011. Google Chromecast did that, apparently. Thanks for the turn-on explanation of Big Beast. You're welcome. Let me also say I have an Asus motherboard with the same diagnostic features, but what causes the delay? I've always thought that there might be some kind of change that I could make in BIOS so that it would skip some of those tests that it does every time I power it on. Brian Lightfoot is S1 settings. If you change them around, you will get quicker startup, but you will lose some of the S1 functions and what they do. I don't know S1, but that's obviously something in BIOS, but that's not enough to tell me what it is. If I were a person who's into BIOS every day and know it like the back of my hand, I would probably recognize that, but I need something more on that. I hope that makes sense, but it is the S1 conditions that cause the delay. At least that's what I found. Any significant, but not a problem. Big equals slow, baby equals fast. There you go. Well said. Well said. Several of those little adapters, I love them around my house. Desert, turn fans on and off. Woke up. Oh, sorry, Lawn Dog. I guess I did that wrong. So the command you didn't hear. Yeah, I don't think you heard the command when I told her to turn the graphics fan off.
Ran Israel said S1 means sleep state 1. It's part of the OSPI standard.
All right, thank you, Ran. So S1 is sleep state 1. Well, but I'm not putting the computer into sleep. Wouldn't sleep options have to do with putting the computer to sleep, not hibernate? Hibernate, when you turn it on after hibernate, that's like a cold power on. Because hibernate, all that does nothing different as far as the motherboard's concerned. That's just reconfiguring the hard drive basically so it starts up from a hibernation. We saw that in the BCD edit that we looked at on Saturday. There was a hibernate section.
Sleep is S3, hibernate is S4.
Oh, okay. So maybe I can mess around with S4. Well said, Brian. All right, I'll try it. I'll mute my microphone for giving the. No, you know what I'll do is I'll press the button on she who shall not be named, and then give the command. Disconnect Ken Stout.
There's no Bluetooth device to disconnect, but you can unpair or forget a device using your Alexa app.
But I have them highlighted in blue. Isn't that good enough? Thank you for showing me the commands. You're welcome. About updating the BIOS, I generally back off unless you have a problem, and that's what they taught us 15 years ago in school. I'm thinking about updating BIOS because of the weird blink out that my computer does. The screen goes black and then comes back, everything is normal. Certainly, that would be a good thing to do there, but also look at updating. Well, I think you have onboard graphics on your CPU, so look at updating chipset drivers as well. Maybe somebody else has more to say about that. Brian says that's what they taught 60 years ago in school about updating BIOS on Windows computers. No, it wasn't Windows computers. No. Come on, Brian. Did they really? Did they issue BIOS updates on like mainframe computers? Is that what you were working on 60 years ago in school? It's like the screen does a reset. Something's not accurate there. Screen does a reset. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Your chipset drivers, since you have integrated graphics. Baseline profiles to control overclocking that Intel said the motherboard manufacturers should not use. Yeah, it's outside of my knowledge zone. Baseline profiles. So baseline profiles would be the profiles, the profiles that are designated. You can have like the different power profiles, whatever other profiles there might be that, let's see, optimized settings perhaps. It would be a baseline profile and default settings.
User mind updates, considering what they were smoking back in the 60s.
Okay. Right, in Israel, more likely user mind updates. The people getting updates, considering what they were smoking. All right. Well said. To control overclocking, the overclocking profiles. Okay, that Intel said motherboard manufacturers should not use. Intel telling motherboard manufacturers to not use the Intel baseline profiles or not use the motherboard manufacturer's baseline profiles. This is sounding somewhat familiar now. It could be troublesome. You can break a computer today with a motherboard. Hope that doesn't happen. Absolutely good policy to follow. I am sorry, Brian. I cannot do that. Rather than Dave. A great explanation. New products. Break my abacus. Some motherboards need an update because Intel CPUs were getting too much voltage right out of the box. Yeah, And that would be for a custom board builder, they should be researching the BIOS of any motherboards that they're using. But once a computer is in service, well, I suppose it is possible that some of those motherboards might have been built and in service before that information came out. So that's where a custom computer builder needs to, go back to the computers that they have previously built and go call their customers and say, hey, we need to make a little adjustment on your computer. It's a problem with all-in-ones. You can't upgrade graphics card, or can you? There are some all-in-ones that you can purchase them with a dedicated graphics. But if you buy them without dedicated graphics, I think it'd be very rare to find a particular make and model that would be upgradable. It is possible. For instance, if you're going to HP's website or Dell's website looking at all-in-ones, if you find a model that has an optional dedicated graphics card where you can select to have it with or without that, and you select to have it to buy it without the dedicated graphics, it may be possible that later you could buy the component and install it.
John Williams said Kerry showed it on his live show on Intel motherboards.
Yes, he did. I saw that, John. When he showed about the power things. He actually did, I think, a few shows that brought up that topic. But anyway, back about this all-in-ones. When you order a new all-in-one that has the option for dedicated graphics and you select not to have it, that might be a different motherboard in such a way that you can't add it later. So there is no one answer for all scenario. There's no laws governing computer manufacturers as to what options you might have on any particular computer. So normally, no, you can't upgrade them. Well, you could do an external graphics card, but those are, as I've heard, problematic, and they're never going to compete with an internal dedicated graphics. Yes, when we already talked about BIOS settings, ACPI, S1 is a power on suspend mode. S3 is a suspend mode that suspends to RAM. S3 is a low wake latency state that's similar to S1. S3 is sleep. S4 is hibernate. Yeah, I'll go look at those. Wintermeat's got a link here, power states. What Microsoft says to it doesn't necessarily prove or determine what my motherboard BIOS has available. So I think my first direction is to go look at what's available on that. System appears to be off. Power consumption is reduced to lowest level. System saves the contents of volatile memory to a hibernation file to preserve system state. The system, meaning the operating system, Windows, not the motherboard. Some components remain powered so the computer can wake from input from the keyboard, LAN, or USB device. Yes, but I may not be here at the computer. So by turning the power off from she who shall not be named, that gives me the ability to turn it on remotely. And because I have the BIOS set to resume on power after power loss, when I turn the power off using the smart switch, that's like a power failure. That looks like a power failure to the motherboard. But the computer's already hibernated, so it's not going to cause any damage to whatever programs I have open. The working content can be restored if it's stored on non-volatile media. Yeah, and that's what Hibernate does. Fast startup is where the user is logged off before the hibernation file is created. This allows for a smaller hibernation file, more appropriate for systems with less storage capabilities. Yeah, that's not an issue. Now, this doesn't say whether there's any adjustments that I can make to get the computer to turn on quicker, and I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the S state, the S4 state, because that has to do with how the motherboard behaves in hibernate. But I'm cutting the power, So now when the power comes back on, the computer is coming on as a cold boot. And then when it gets to the point of looking for a bootable partition, it's finding the hibernation partition and it wakes up from that. But the hardware is starting up from a cold state. So is there anything that I can change in BIOS to make it skip through some of those excessive tests that it's doing? Where are we at? Oh, it's 9:30. I have no redirects today. And that I looked at. Gonna have to do a little. Oh, and I didn't even get to the topic about that client's office with the DHCP and the security cameras. I have more information to report on that, but I'm not going to take the time to do it now. I will read through the rest of these later. Let me check these. More likely user mind updates. Okay, I saw that. Looking at the speaker bots and the oranges. Kerry showed on his live show. I did get that. If you are low value target, slack off. You call me a slacker on updates. If you are a high value target, keep up to date when happens. Most CVEs are published.
BIOS settings to choose between fast and thorough post.
Yeah, Ran, I think you're on target there. Looking for post behavior. Power on self-test. If you are a low-value target, slack off on updates. If you are a high-value target, keep up to date when updates happen. Most CVEs are published. I have contemplated, is there anybody out there that considers me a worthwhile target? And usually I would say no. Oh, I'm going to mute the microphone here and take a short call. That's somebody on their way over here. I do get some phishing attacks that seem targeted at me. I have clients who get more phishing attacks that seem to be specifically targeted at them, where, for instance, one senior attorney in the law office, he gets far more phishing attacks than anybody else in the office. Well, his email address is on more contracts that are out there in the world. And he's a little more publicly exposed as a senior partner in the law firm. So he gets far more phishing emails that have content within the email that are specific to him, and even come from people that he might recognize as somebody that he knows. So those seem kind of targeted. I occasionally get something that seems kind of targeted. So, but I don't think. I might be targeted, but I don't know that. I don't think it makes me high value because I'm not getting the highly skilled hackers aimed at me. Let's see, I'm just looking for exclamation marks in orange right now, and they're going to end the show. Back in the late 70s, IBM mainframe started getting program temporary fixes monthly. In BIOS, try setting fast boot on. Already done that. Been there, done that. That didn't help. Okay, that's enough. There's the email address. You can send questions to me by email. You can put a comment on any of my videos. You can ask questions in the chat room. If you're in the chat room today and you find that you're not able to chat,
I made it just in time to end the show.
Thank you, Chris. The way to get permission in chat is to put a comment on any of my videos asking to be able to participate in the chat room. If your channel's been around long enough that I can be comforted that you're not the troublemaking troll that's around here, then it's very easy to get approved. All right, that's it. Have a great day, everybody. Catch you later. Goodbye.